All right, here with Ennis Rakestraw Jr., cornerback out of Missouri. And Ennis, Rick and I do a podcast together. It's not fun all the time, but one of the fun times is talking about you. And we went over your tape at several points in the last month or so. And Rick, maybe it was you. Maybe we talked about it together. We'll see how Ennis responds. But the vibe I got watching you, and I'm pretty sure Rick agrees with me, is Devon Witherspoon in terms of the aggressiveness with which you play. Does that sound like a good fit for you?
Yes, sir. That's a great fit. I watched him last year, and the way he tackles and come up and be physical at the line of scrimmage, on tackles, on press man, that's a good comparison. I respect it.
Yeah, like to me, it's hard to find a corner that is a tone setter on defense. So first thing when I'm evaluating is, does this guy like to play ball? And there's no question that you like to be the tone setter on defense, even though it's a position you don't think that's going to happen. But why the aggressiveness? A lot of times corners, can run, they can cover just like you can. But what separates you? Why do you want to be that tone setter on defense?
I love the physicality of the game, so tackling is the one thing that I feel like most corners should love to do, because now what they like to do is run to the boundary and to see and test you as a man, or you a tackler. The way I play and how physical I play and the way I tackle is probably my mindset was growing up. My mom had me 3 days before being 16, and a lot of people told my mom negative things and we wouldn't be in this situation or I wasn't going to be good enough. So my recruitment in high school, I was a late bloomer. My 11th grade year, I had group of 5, no power 5s. So I wanted to change it around and change the narrative. So I had to guard a couple 5-star guys and earn my name. So I always have the underdog story in me, no matter what. Even at the next level, I'm always be the underdog.
And speaking of underdog, and everybody's talking about the 5 corners, the Alabama kids, the Iowa kid. As a pro, once you get into the league, what makes you think that you're going to be the best corner coming out of this draft?
I'll start with accountability, because without accountability, you won't touch the field. I got to go in there and gain the trust of the older guys and the coaches right away, so they can feel comfortable with me and knowing I'm going to be in the right place at the right time. That's number one for me. I have no personal goals in the league. The first thing I want to do is win over my teammates and show them I can play special teams, slot, corner, whatever they need me to do. So that's my goal. And then doing those and achieving those things and put me where I want to be as a player.
Rick, let me ask quickly, and you can remind me because my memory is terrible, but I remember we were talking about one of the games you played in, and someone blew a coverage, and it ended up being a touchdown. I don't know if it's a Kentucky game or not, but you were fired up.
Kentucky game, first third down of the game, first touchdown.
And we said, okay, this dude is not messing around. He's holding people responsible for what's going on.
That play, I will completely blame my fault. We was in a man-to-man coverage. I played too soft. Put my safety in the bind, who is my roommate, who's my great friend. So I put him in the bind at the sideline. I had tempers flaring. He came up to me. He was like, my bad. I told him it ain't even your fault. I'm more mad at myself than you, because I put you in a situation where you got to choose. As me as a corner, and the way I'm supposed to be a lockdown corner, I never put you in that situation again. So after that, we shook hands, then we got back to it.
When you're in these interviews at night and you're meeting with all these different teams, what is the hardest thing that you have to answer through these interviews?
I'll say that's probably my hardest thing I had to answer was the emotion in that play right there.
Oh, you got asked about that play?
Yeah,
before?
I got asked about that play, or they asked me, is there a certain play where your passion got to the best of you, and I already know what play they're talking about, so I'll bring it up right away. But
yeah, you knew exactly.
Yeah, I knew exactly.
But I mean, you didn't view that as a bad thing either, right?
I viewed it as a dude loves to play ball and that he cares.
I view it as completely opposite, because at the end of the day, in my eyes, I made my brother look bad, no matter that it was still my fault. But I'm fussing at him like that on live TV. People are like, oh, it's a safety fault. I never want to put my teammates in a situation where I'm blaming them or anything. So it's my fault, and when people ask me about it, I tell them it's my fault. So it's not on him.
Let me ask you about, you talk about people underrating you, and I think on some level people underrated Missouri. It was a really good football team in the SEC. You have your buddy Chris Abrams-Strain on the other side. You have Darius Robinson, who is a grown man, can play 5 tech, he can kick inside. Talk about those players and how good those players are, because a lot of people probably don't know who they are yet, but they're going to find out pretty soon.
I'll start with Darius Robinson. Darius Robinson always been a specimen of a man. If Darius Robinson here right now, you can point him out by the smile on his face and his body size. But he's a completely different monster when you in between those lines. But we all pretty much came up the same. Probably felt we was under-recruited. We came to Missouri with something to prove. The first 3 years it didn't work out. People were saying we didn't deserve to be in the SEC. We finally had the same DC for 2 years in a row, and that played a big part of our success. All we did was be one of 11, and one of the 11 of us, if do your job at a high level and only worry about your job, and the offense gonna make the plays. So when we had that mindset and that brotherhood and camaraderie, it helped us out the way we played this year. And I can trust those guys with anything. If I had a kid right now, I can get my kid to D-Rob and just knowing he's going to be there. So that accountability helped us have a successful season and something to prove.
You guys play against a lot of top receivers in the conference that you play in. But people don't realize and understand you go through the game plans and the schemes and stuff like that. But tell everybody how you prepare when you know you're going to have to cover this guy man on man. What are you looking for?
First day, right after our game, I watched the last game we had on the TV copy to see things I didn't see or just get a feel from the last game and know what I need to work on because obviously I know I need to work on as a player because we're going to have notes later on. The next day, I go in there by myself and I watch the release tape and the quarterback intermediate throws. Or I get to feel what the quarterback is. Is he a quarterback like intermediate throws, outside the number throws, short throws, or check downs? Or do he trust his arm too much and try to make a perfect throw and gamble a lot? Receivers, I see what type of receiver do he like free release or is he physical at the top of his route? So that's my day one when we get the install. So when we get the install, we go in there. I'm already knowing their tendencies, their favorite plays, and now I'm trying to figure out how they can beat us in my mind. So that's what helped me out through the week.
He is well prepared. It feels like he knows.
Ask him go ahead, ask him your question about top receivers he's played against.
I was going to ask you, so because again, you play in the SEC, so you see some dudes week in and week out. Who's the toughest quarterback and the toughest receivers you faced, even throughout your career, not necessarily even last season?
I started as a freshman in all SEC, so my first game was Alabama.
Okay.
I had Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
So them the hardest two I had to go out coming out, and George Pickens that year. So, and people like Palmer from Tennessee. So I was tested pretty early. I was doing the 5 pretty early, and I was tested pretty early. This year, I like Brian Thomas. He's very deceptive. He doesn't talk a lot of trash. He's really fast. Neighbors. I like Ladd McConkey. He's probably one of the shiftiest guys in this draft. And Ricky Pearsall is a real polished route runner. Real polished.
So two of our guys, Ladd and Pearsall, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But I like the other guys, too.
Yeah, no, those
the other guys are going to be okay, I think.
Yeah,
the other guys are going to be okay.
They're well off okay.
But, I mean, Rick, that speaks to something that we talk about a lot. Like, freshman year, he's going up against a bunch of first-round picks. Essentially, George Pickens was a second-round pick. But he was able to bounce back because your big thing is, like, when you have a cornerback, you want to have a short-term memory.
Yeah, no, and that's everything everybody looks at is everybody's going to get beat. But do you take it personal, and does it carry on for, like, the next 5 or 6 series, or hey, all right, I got it, but I got you, let's go, let's do it again?
In Missouri, we had this play mentality. The last play is already set in stone. It's already in the papers. It's already written about. People said good things about you, bad things about you. The most important play to us now is this next play because the next play can determine the outlook on the game and what happens next.
All right, I'm going to ask you some questions. We'll get you out of here on this. These are easy questions. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Who is your football GOAT?
Deion Sanders.
Now I'm going to have you build the ultimate cornerback. I'm going to give you some categories, and you tell me the names that come to mind, past or present. And if you need to double up on names as you get through it, that's fine too. All right, you ready?
Okay.
Size.
Jalen Ramsey.
Speed.
Deion Sanders.
That's an easy one. Strength.
I'll go Night Train Lane.
Whoa.
I'll go Night Train Lane.
Look at that, Rick. Rick played with Night Train Lane. Kidding. Ball hawking.
It's hard. You can go Deion and Champ, but since I said I'd go Champ.
Oh, great.
Because I already said Deion, I'll go Champ, baby.
Great call, Champ Bailey. Toughness.
Toughness at the corner position. I'm going to go somebody I haven't used. Toughness. I'll just go Witherspoon because he got toughness that you can't match. Toughness that you can't match.
That's right. And the last one, football IQ.
Football IQ. Darrell Revis.
Great call. That is it. Ennis Rakestraw Jr., Missouri cornerback, soon to be NFL cornerback. How fast are you going to run?
4.3.
4.3, Rick. He's running a 4.3.
I'm not betting against that.
I'm not betting against it either. Ennis, thank you so much.
Thank you.